Yes, sir. And on the on that boycotting situation, what the targeting business situation, um, I just feel that's very key. You know what I mean? Because that's like really the only language this country understands.
Exactly.
You know, you may hear English, but money is
Money is in it, and the main color is green. You're right. That's what motivates everybody, and that's the only time they jump.
yeah, man.
So, we're going to start out just doing the same thing Dr. King did. Just show up at the businesses. This time we're bringing not only a diverse group, but the street gangs in their colors. Okay? And there's nothing illegal about that. As a matter of fact, they've been uniting all over the country. The Bloods, the Crips, the GDs, all of them have been uniting in Baltimore and other places and right here in Atlanta to try to do positive things in the community. And so they're going to assist us here in Cobb as well as in the Atlanta metro area. And we're just going to go there and educate the people. We've got poster boards with educational pictures, about the Panthers, about Dr. King, about the history, about what's going on now, and we're going to set those up wherever and whenever. Festivals, there's a police festival, there's a police public safety barbecue coming up where all the police departments are going to be at. We'll be there. So, and the joke is that just a year ago, I was in the inside game. Okay, I was an insider. I'm always an insider. People don't know me because I'm white, and we have inside privilege no matter what we do. Okay, but I was. My strategy was to work with the police department to build bridges between them and the Black and Latino communities in Cobb. And I was successful, not only me, but my coalition. Before we had Nick Thomas Coalition, we had Cobb United Coalition here in Cobb. And, initially we formed to help them stop deporting the Latinos because if they stopped an undocumented immigrant without a driver's license, they would arrest them and then the sheriff would deport them. So we worked with the police to get them to stop arresting people with no licenses, instead just issue a ticket. Then the sheriff couldn't get a hold of them, they couldn't get deported. And the police actually worked with us to do that, to change that here in Cobb. So we protected the Latinos, the Browns. We've been trying to do the same thing with the blacks. Okay, have them, instead of criminalizing young black folk, over minor shit, is have them issue tickets, even for pot. They can do that instead of busting you and ruining your life over a stupid little, thing like that. So, so about a year ago, we were talking to them about that, not making any headway. And this is after 10 years of meeting together on, cases and so forth. And then I come home, or I'm home at night in my own driveway, in my own home. And I have, like I said, I have 8 children, mixed. My wife is black, Caribbean. Here's some of them here. And matter of fact, this daughter right here, 25-year-old Bahia. I come home, or I'm home, and my son wakes me up and says, the cops are in the driveway behind Bahia. She just pulled in home at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I go outside, and the cop yells at me, stay back. Right? Most of the cops know me. This one didn't. He happened to be a young black guy, too. So he says, it's just a brake light, stay back. Long story short, 8 cop cars later, they dragged my daughter out of the back through the mud while my sons and I, you can see, well, you probably can't see in my picture, but no, not in this one. They're pretty big and tatted, and and they're black in this side, even though they're mixed.
Mm-hmm.
They're there with their cameras. My whole family, I've got 8 kids, my wife and everybody, we're out there, a mini riot.
Right, right.
We're jumping on the police, me and my sons, to try to peel them off. And we would have got shot or arrested too, but the cops knew me. Most of the cops knew me that, I've been working with the police department.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it was all over that they wanted to search the car.
And a brake light stoppage, right?
Right, brake light, right.
That's crazy.
Which we found out later from her mechanic, the brake lights worked. So it took me 60 years, okay? I mean, I've known it in my head, all of the injustices and civil rights. I've been, on the streets since the 60s and 70s. But because of white privilege, it never happens to me, personally. So this is the first time it happened to, in front of me. It connected the heart to the head,
mm-hmm.
that I completely understood what's going on in a flash, okay? Their tactic, and the police admitted this, by the way, their tactic is to arrest 20 non-criminals for minor junk to find the one big main criminal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what they don't realize is, because it's not a colorblind society, out of those 20, 15 are black because of intrinsic or implicit racial bias in policing, in everything we do. That's the other thing. Next thing is, you just turned 10 of those 20 people into criminals, because what happened? They had a job, they had a car, but because you busted them for this minor shit, they lost everything, and they now have to deal drugs or join a gang. So the police are the ones who are recruiting people for the gangs.
Right.
The police are the ones who are recruiting drug dealers by their tactics of criminalizing, especially people of color. And it became crystal clear. I did the research and found out that's true, scientific, all of that is true. And that's the real problem in this country. So the only solution is that the police have to use what they call pre-arrest diversion, which Seattle's using, Santa Fe and some other cities. Now in Atlanta, the police chief is investigating it. That's where they don't do bogus stops for license plate lights and brake lights, number one. Number two, if they do stop you and they find some, pot or a minor crime, they issue a ticket. They don't arrest. Or they can bring you to counseling, if it's a major drug like heroin or whatever. They can bring you to a counselor. You don't have to get arrested. And so that's the only thing that will solve this. And I told the police department here in Cobb that until they're willing to admit that they're part of the problem and to institute these changes, I'm at war with them. And that I will bring my own civilian police force here, which is street groomers, is the first step, just like the guardian angels of old. So that's the status right now. Then right after that incident happened with my daughter, Nick Thomas was shot in Smyrna.
Right.
Okay? So, of course, these things have been happening, but the fact is now we're taking pictures of them. We've got them all on video.
Yes, sir. To the point where the world can see the injustices.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes,
exactly.
Sir.
So because in the past, everybody said, like in my daughter's case or Nick Thomas' case, everybody would say, oh, she or he is probably doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even the own black community would say that, and judge people. And of course, in both cases, they might have done wrong, but a minor wrong. A wrong that if I did it when I was a kid, I wouldn't even get in trouble for it, especially a white person. Okay? So, we've turned our whole society, we've criminalized our whole society. We have the highest percentage of any industrialized country incarcerated. We have more black men in jail than South Africa did under apartheid.
Wow.
Okay? And we're brainwashed. That's why my favorite quote is, which is on my Facebook page, from Harriet Tubman, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. And that's it. We don't know. When I do my workshops or seminars or I speak to a group, the first thing I say is, how many of you are slaves? And, of course, a lot of times I'm speaking to black groups, they might take a little offense to it, but I say, I'm going to show you how not only are you still a slave, but I'm a slave too. The white folk are slaves too. They're brainwashed into thinking they're somehow superior.
Yes, sir. Like you said, that illusion, that black and white illusion, that is.
It was created by this country. It was created by the plantation owners. The concept before that, there was no concept in the world of a black or a white person. There's none. There's none in history. There's none. There's, people were Italian, or they were, whatever culture they came from. But there was no concept until America coined that phrase in order to separate the people who would own people and the people who would be owned. That was an economic phrase. That's how black and white came about. Because really, the joke is, Italians, my people, have been passing as white in this country, but the Moors ruled us in southern Italy from North Africa. So we have, if we do DNA tests, we have as much African in it. But, it's an economic term, black and white.
And when I first talked to you a while back, about a year ago, and paying attention to the work, I said this man can't be like a white guy from the Caucasus Mountains, from somewhere deep in Europe. You know what I mean? Like I'm like he not one of those, excuse the expression, blind hair, blue eyes. This is my first time meeting you in person, but even back then I was saying he can't be one of those. And plus looking at the last name too, but specifically the work. You know what I mean? And I was like, he can't be one of those.
Well, to give credit, not to cut you off, but to give credit, there are Norwegian, white, blue-eyed people who've given their lives for the movement too. So it's true that psychically and spiritually and even genetically, Italians and Southern Europeans are more black, more African. But it's all a mental thing. I mean, it's all a mental thing. Because in our coalitions, we have some very pale-faced whites, and, they put their lives on the line, too. So it's more in the heart than mind. But the fact is, any person, white person, or white identified, I don't even like to use the word white or black. I say white identified or black identified, because that's what we are in this society. Okay? So, but any white identified person who denies that they have extreme privilege, that's the problem. They're the problem. Okay?
Yes,
that's the only difference. The only difference is those who know we're slaves, know it's a plantation system, and those that deny it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I'll even tell the police, a black policeman that I'm at odds with right now, I understand what you're having to do. You're trying to survive, but you're not going to put yourself above a prostitute. Okay? And I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying she's trying to survive. Drug dealers trying to survive the best way they know how to survive in this plantation system. Okay? So if you're going to put yourself above somebody, then I'm going to bring you down to their level, because we're all at the same level. And really, the police are the enforcers. I call them the fugitive slave enforcers. Okay? That's why people run from them. Two of my kids, the two that have gotten in trouble the most, minor shit, said they're not going back to jail. Okay? So I understand that mentality. That means they're going to run, you know what I'm saying? Which is not good. Of course, I don't like that, but I understand that.
Yes, sir. So, some info on some upcoming events. I know you mentioned a few, like some of the rallies you're going to do, like at the police celebration. What's the name of it?
Yeah, the Public Safety Appreciation Barbecue.
Yes, sir.
That's coming up. I think that's in 2 weeks. What that just came about. But what we're going to be at the Jonquil Festival, which is April 23rd and 24th, which is the big festival in Smyrna. We tried to get a booth there, but it was already sold out, so we're just going to go and do street education there. 15,000 people come through. It's a perfect venue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to definitely piss off the police and the mayor, okay, because that's their, signature event. Okay, and we're not going to disrupt. We're not going to yell. We're not going to be loud. We're just going to be there and educate people. And we'll have flyers to educate them about the police, about everything going on. On the 30th, Actually, that same weekend, the Street Groomers and some other groups will be at Stone Mountain Park, for the White Lives Matter rally that the KKK are doing. So the Street Groomers, though, they're going to go. They're bringing sheets, white sheets, for themselves,
Wow.
and they're going to cook barbecue and serve the white folk. So they're going to kill them with love.
What a twist right there.
They're going to kill them with love. The one thing I learned about the street tribes, they're politically educated. They know how to do things. People think they're dumb or uneducated. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just read an article where they're the ones who organize the prisons. California's now trying to learn from Illinois, because in Illinois the black street gangs run the prison, and they do such a good job of it, keeping peace. They also integrate the black, white, and Latinos, where in California they have to keep them separate because they have fights. So they're trying to learn from the gangs. How do they do it? Okay. So we're going to be there, and then April 30th. See, part of our outside strategy is we're going to surround Cobb County. They think, they're sitting back at East Cobb. East Cobb is where all of the officials live, the judges. That's all the wealthy section. That's where the DA, I'm sure the police chief, a lot of the state legislators. So we're going to East Cobb, in their faces, in their gated area, and that's what our next, on April 30th, we're going to be there, and we're bringing some of the street tribes there. And again, we're going to be taking over 4 corners in the busiest intersection, busiest commerce area, and we're going to educate people. We're going to have bullhorns there because it's a noisy area, but we're not going to disrupt traffic. And we're not opposed to that, but we do that with Black Lives Matter and the movement for Black Lives when they want to disrupt, like they just did today. They're down there today.